Hello, hello, hello. This is Valencia here with a karmic message. Okay, this is my story. Yeah, I tried to record this thing like 3 times and it cut off. And it was on 222, okay? It was recording number 222, okay? So that's going to be significant for somebody, okay? You looking for a sign, you looking for a message. Something has been interrupted 3 times. I tried to record this message 3 times, okay? Something in your life has been interrupted, intercepted, cut off, taken from you 3 times. But Spirit is saying that this time it's going to work, or this time it's not going to work, okay? So the message is about the karmic mother using graveyard dirt to put hexes and spells on me. And this is like her specialty. This is what she does, okay? So what Spirit is saying is that every time I would come home to like where I grew up at, well, I didn't even grow up in this house because they moved, but every time I would go home to where my family was, the ones that live in the house where my mother lives, which was purchased with the money that she stole from me from life insurance, she would conveniently pop up and go home. And when I say go home, go back to the state where she was born and raised. And Spirit said that she would always do that because she was putting a spell on me, go away spell for me not to come home. But I kept popping back up. I kept coming back home. And she was trying to figure out why the go away spell wasn't working, because it had worked on everybody else. When she doesn't want people around, this is what she does. And typically once you move out the house, she puts that spell on you so that you don't come back there. And if she wants you to come back, then she'll put her spell on you for you to come back and come back around. And it's typically when she wants some money. Okay? And so Spirit was saying that she kept going back to where where she's from, which is where I live, to go put a thicker version of the spell on me. Now, what she also was doing every time I came home, she was getting my car towed. Even though my car was parked in a number spot in their community, or even though I had a badge that said I was permitted to park in the parking space, she was getting my car towed. So they were stealing my car every time I came home. And so what Spirit is saying is that what she was doing is she was having these people steal my car so that they could put spells on my car so that I could get in accidents. Now my throat is trying to mess up, because before, when I was doing this, my throat wasn't acting up. But now that it's actually recording, my throat acting up. She's trying to stop me from talking. Okay, but Spirit was saying that every time I would come home, she was trying to figure out how this go away spell wasn't working, because it worked on everybody else. And so she would have my car sent off for them to put another spell on my car. And the spell was to keep me away, but the spell was also to make me get into an accident. Okay? And she would routinely just start provoking fights with me so that I would, get up out the house, rush, be flying on the highway because I'm so angry and so mad, and then get into, some type of incident on the highway. And so the last time when I went home, Spirit made it very clear to me what happened. I came home. Again, I was trying to get away from my karmic husband. I explained to her everything that was happening. She was actually helping me try to, help myself, but she really wasn't helping me, because she knew everything that I was doing to try to help myself, and she was just reversing it, because she's the one that was putting the spell on the relationship with my siblings. Okay, they were all attacking me. They were all creating all this ruckus and mess and discrepancy in my life. Like the things that have happened to me, like I can't even put it all into words. You understand? And what Spirit is saying is that every time I came home, she would instantaneously be popping up and going back to her hometown. And she was going back to this voodoo witch doctor so that they could, put a stronger version of the spell on me, because what she was doing, her root work was no longer working on me. It wasn't effective. And no longer was her kitchen magic working on me. So then she tried to say that she felt like somebody was doing something to her, which I'm pretty sure they were, because you doing all this magic to other people and these kids that you're raising. And so she wanted me to show her how I was cleansing myself and healing myself, because she wanted to see how to block it. Now, at the time, I did not know that this was what she was doing. So she wanted to see me, be able to call on the Holy Spirit and the Holy Spirit come. She wanted to see me, speak life over a negative situation and see how it changed. She wanted to actually see how I was cleansing myself so that she could reverse it and block it. This is what Spirit is saying. And it's crazy because this is all making sense now that I'm thinking about it in hindsight, okay? Because all the stuff she was doing, I was pulling it, literally throwing it off of me, okay? And then, but unbeknownst to me, Spirit was throwing it back on her. Not even Spirit, the ancestors were throwing it back on her. And so my siblings were saying, every time I came home, all of a sudden my mother would start to act like, oh, how she's so sick and all this other stuff. And they're saying, oh, she's a hypochondriac and all this other stuff because she was just fine. And Spirit is telling me right now, no. Spirit was saying that every time I came back to the house, that the ancestors was returning all that shit back to sender. And so where they thought that she was just playing, all that magic that she was sending to me and throwing on me, it reversed on her. And so she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, she didn't have no rest, she didn't have no peace. And Spirit is saying this is really the main reason why she kept trying to get me up out the house, because all of it was coming back on her. Now, the main part of this message, because I don't want it to be really long, okay, is that she was using graveyard dirt. So the last time when I went home, when there was this big old fight, and I got up and I left, and I told you Spirit prompted me to tell me to get up and get out the house. So my god sister came over there. We was having, I guess, kind of like a good time. She was trying to help me with some stuff. My mom provoked this fake fight. She got so heated in the fight, and she was like, and you're not psychic. You are not psychic. And I was like, well, damn, you big mad about that, because if I ain't psychic, you wouldn't be so mad. You wouldn't be so angry. Like, there's a lot of passion and anger behind that. So I know that anytime the enemy wants to let you know that you ain't something, they're going to lie and tell you that you're not that thing when you actually are that thing. I mean, she was angry when she said that. And so I was like, well, if I ain't psychic, then what am I? You understand? Like, I had told her about a reading I got. And the lady told me, because I was starting to awaken, I didn't know all these things that were happening. And the lady was like, yeah, you're psychic. And you had, some spiritual gifts, whatever those spiritual gifts may be. And so, it angered her to see that I could see right through her, like how she was conjuring up this negative scenario out of nowhere. So long story short, the god sister came over with her baby daddy. She came over with a wreath from the graveyard. He came over with the bag. He went outside with the bag and started wiping over my car, acting like he was wiping leaves and berries off my car, because like these berries and stuff fall off of the trees by her house. Now, mind you, every time I go home too, my car gets towed. And Spirit is saying that's because they put a tracker on my car. They put something in like the radio system where they could listen to my conversations while I was in the car as well. I don't know what type of shit these motherfuckers is into. I don't know. Okay. So Spirit was saying that they was literally tracking everything. They was doing stuff to try to make my car malfunction so that I could have some type of catastrophe, okay? So this last time, this was supposed to be her last grand ditch effort, because, the plan was for me to stay in this karmic relationship and pretty much be miserable for the rest of my life. Because if I'm in this miserable, relationship, I cannot function or work in my higher purpose. Okay. So this all started happening because I started to awaken. I started to wake up. Okay. I started that prayer call and God started to wake me up. I had that baby, and then I started going through the dark night of the soul. Okay. Spirit started to excel my spiritual awakening times like 1,000. Okay. Spiritual gifts started awakening and everything, and she started to see that, because she realized that she was no longer able to pull from my gifts. She was no longer able to tap into my 8th house and start to pull from my abundance, start to pull from my inheritance. Now, remind you, in the physical realm, she's already been stealing my inheritance, but she was also stealing my spiritual inheritance, the gifts that you get from either your maternal or your paternal side. Okay. And she was willing to win at all costs so that she could continue to use these gifts. Okay. Now, remember, when I was asking her for help with my karmic husband, all she kept saying is that, her and my sister would have the baby, but they didn't want to help me specifically. Like, me go and take you my baby. Let me try to get my life together, and then I come back and get my baby. Like, are you crazy? Like, I know sometimes people do have to do that where, they're just like in a mess. But spiritually, I knew that if I did that I probably would never be able to get my child back, which is what she did to my mother. Okay. So she came in the guise of wanting to help, but really what she wanted was my baby. Back to the graveyard. Okay. So the last time when I came home, there was a wreath that came from the graveyard. Now, mind you, every time I came home too, because Spirit said y'all need to know these details. Every time I came home too, my mom would always have friends that would come over, and they would always bring her plants with roots, with the dirt, but it was never like a plant that was in like a pot. They would always bring her plants that had the root with the dirt in it. And these plants, Spirit is telling me now, came from the graveyard. And they would always come over when I came to visit. So it was like she was always having somebody come over to visit. But really, they weren't always coming over to visit. They were coming to lay eyes on me so that they knew who to attack. They were also coming to siphon my energy so that they knew what appropriate energy to attack. Okay, this is what Spirit is telling me. So every time when I came home, they were towing my car, putting magic and all this type of negative juju on my car. And so this last time, when the god sister came with the baby daddy, and he went and wiped over my car and stuff, Spirit is saying that she put that spirit of death over my car this time, right? It wasn't just for me to experience a catastrophe or whatever. She actually put the spirit of death over my car. Now, mind you, I came up there because I'm trying to get away from my karmic husband, who has completely lost his god freaking mind. You understand? Becoming verbally and physically aggressive towards me. I had to call CPS on him and everything, right? I had to file a temporary restraining order. So like, I'm literally like in a distraught place, and she sees this as her moment to try to create the ultimate catastrophe for me. This is what Spirit is saying, okay? And so, because me leaving is breaking the curse, okay? Me leaving is breaking the spell. You understand? This is why she's doing it. So every time I came home and I left from around him, I was getting stronger, and she saw that. And so she was doing these go-away spells to send me back to him so that I could get back in that chaos and that conflict and that confusion, so that I could not operate at my higher level of self. So I could not operate in my higher self. I couldn't connect with my spiritual being. If we are not in our higher level of self, we cannot receive the downloads. We cannot, even though God can fix things, create things, manifest things, bless you, heal you in chaos and conflict and confusion. What Spirit is saying is that in the midst of all this stuff, this is what she was in a nutshell doing, okay? And so this last time when I went home, instead of trying to create a catastrophe, she put the spirit of death over my car. When I left there and I went to my sister's house, my sister confirmed it. My sister said, you're not the only one that she's done something like this to. She's done it to you all, to us all. And she said, the reason why my mother was so mad at me is because I'm the one that always spoke up. You understand? I'm the one that always talked back. Not in sometimes in an aggressive way, because my mom would be real reckless, but I'm always the one that would tell her about herself, where they more would kind of like just take it and not say nothing. Okay? I'm always the one that would say something every single time. And she didn't like that. But then she also didn't like that when I came as well, that I was clearing things up, okay? I was reversing the spells that she had on my siblings and the house. And this is unbeknownst to me. I did not know that I was doing that, okay? This is unbeknownst to me. She didn't like the fact that my spiritual gifts were being awakened, and that I was starting to move in my purpose. I was starting to be able to utilize the gifts that God had placed on me, because she was using magic to keep my gifts asleep so that she could use it for her own selfish gain. Okay. So this is already at 16 minutes. I'll probably do a part 2. Okay. But pretty much, Spirit is just trying to help me continue to document and make sense of, why things have been the way that they were. And he's exposing how my foster mother was doing the things that she was doing to me, okay? Because she was intentionally putting my gifts to sleep by using witchcraft and magic, root work, literally root work, because they were bringing roots from the graveyard, okay? But God, okay? But my ancestors, but the spirit guides, but the ascended masters, but the angels, the angelic, the divine, but all being forces and entities serving my highest good and the highest good of all, but celestial, okay? Spirit is saying that he wants me to keep telling the story just in general, because there are some of you whose story is similar to mine's. There are some of you stories who are just like mine. And your karmic family members are trying to do anything and everything that they can in their power to destroy you from you just being who you are. They hate you for being who you are authentically. You ain't trying to impress nobody. You ain't trying to outdo nobody. You just trying to be you. And they hate you for being you. And Spirit wanted me to tell you, whenever you come across this message at any point in time in your life, on any point of your journey, because we know messages are timeless. Time is an illusion. Spirit is saying that it's going to feel like death, because it is. It's a spiritual death. But Spirit said you got to keep on going, okay? Spirit says that you have to consistently use discernment. Don't speak out of time. Okay? Because Spirit going to prompt you when it's time for you to tell your story. Spirit is going to prompt you when it's time for you to elevate your gifts. Spirit is going to prompt you when it's time for you to expose those that are attacking you. Spirit is going to prompt you when it's your time. But you may just be in the research stage. You may just be in the stage of discovering what's happening. You may just be in the stage of healing or awakening and starting to identify what's going on. Spirit says, listen to the intuitive nudges. Stay out of the darkness. Continue to pray and ask God to help lead you the way. No matter what you're facing, no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what is coming towards you, continue to ask God to keep helping you, to keep showing you, to keep bringing you the people, places, and things that are serving your highest good. And ask God to help you to be able to mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and verbally be able to maintain and sustain, but also have the mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, and verbal ability to handle it all. That you don't waver, that you don't stop, that you don't quit, that you don't give up, but that you keep moving forward. I literally hear right now that somebody that's going to come across this video, somebody has spoken the spirit of suicide over your life. And I call that spirit out right now in the name of the true and one and only living God, the living word. I pray that the angels come around you, cover you, protect you, heal you from the crown of your head to the bottom of your feet. I pray that the demons that you are dealing with, that they flee from upon you immediately. I pray the spirit of the living God come and possesses your whole entire being. And that what battles that you are meant to go through, because it's going to help you with your spiritual awakening. That's why it's called spiritual warfare. But that you have the strength to endure, to pass the test. Because it's all a test. It's to get you strong. It's to help you fight. It's to help you to get through the illusion. It's to pull you out of that naive state, out of that innocent state, so that you can see past the smoke and mirrors and past the veils. So that you can be that powerful being that Spirit has called you to be. And I'm going to leave it at that. The Spirit of the living God is upon your life.